Are y'all ready? What? Yeah! Y'all ready to play some football? Just shout some big D. Let's go! If you want it, you can get it. Let me know.
What is going on, people? LP2000 right back at you with another figure review, and today I'm doing something quite different. Yes. I'm not doing anything Godzilla related, kind of. Not doing anything model kit related or X Plus related, but it's something that's just as important, And I'm doing the 18-inch mega figure of King Kong from the upcoming film Kong Skull Island. That film is going to be due out in like a few weeks, and a toy company called Lanard Toys has exclusively made up a line that's going to be sold only at Walmart of some toys from the movie. And this is the 18-inch Kong, and yes, this is a really good piece. First of all, let me say, Eric, I'm sorry for getting this out a little bit late. Been kind of busy, but I hope you enjoy it, and I should say this now, I highly recommend this figure, but we'll get into that later on. But yes, this was made by Lanard Toys. I don't really know much about them or whatever. I just know that they did a few toys for this movie. They not only did this Kong, they did maybe 3 play sets of like a small spider. Not anything near this how big this Kong is, but it's like a small spider with like a Jeep that goes along with the set. A pterodactyl that has a boat to come with it, and I think a dinosaur-like creature that comes with like a little shack where you can put like a little soldier in the shack or whatever to try to recreate things. Now, mind you, not any of those creatures in the sets are in scale with this Kong, but I would assume those are the monsters that he may fight or the human cats may fight in the film. So I guess if you get all those sets together along this Kong, you can have yourself a good setup. But to me, the only thing of interest to me was this Kong, and yes, this is sold exclusively at Walmart. You can't find it anywhere else unless you go on eBay. Yes, because this thing I think just got put out, just got released at Walmart like last Saturday to be exact. And mind you, I went to 5 different Walmarts and they were all sold out. I think Walmart is like carrying like maybe 2 or 3 of these large figures at a time. And I went to 5 of them and every single one of them was sold out. Then I go up online and, of course, this figure is really like $25, at the most $30. Even though it's cheap, it really is a good figure, which I would go into in a few minutes. But yes, people have started snatching them up and put them on eBay for horrendous prices. $80, $70, $90, people just, I don't know, you already know my feelings about that, but which ain't right, but it really is a good piece. I don't think it's worth $50 or $60 or $90, mind you, but it's worth the $25 that I paid for, at the most $30. So you know how we get into things around here. Let's get into the packaging before we get into the figure, and here we go with the packaging. It's pretty much it. It's not really like a box that encases the figure because the figure is so big. That's pretty much it with the packaging. Kong Skull Island 18-inch poseable Kong mega figure with a little small soldier. I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to give it away. And that's pretty much it with the front. Now, with the back is really cool because you have an artistic picture of Kong in battle with a prehistoric creature, probably one of the creatures he does fight in the film. Kong Skull Island, a picture of the figure itself, as well as the play sets. It's a picture of the play sets that I talked about. And it has a little brief description of this figure, this mega figure. I'm not gonna go into it, whatever, but that's pretty much it with the packaging, and so exclusively at Walmart, and that's pretty much it. So that's it with the packaging. About this figure, this really is a good figure. For $25, you kind of get what you pay for, but at the same time, you kind of get a little bit more. So that's all the backstory I know about this figure and from Lanard Toys. Like I said, I don't know much about them. I just know that when they announced on the internet that they were going to be producing these figures, the one that caught my eye and the one that was more of interest to me was this Kong. And I really do enjoy it, so you know how we do things around here. Let's get up close and personal with this awesome Kong figure. King Kong from Kong Skull Island. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, here we are up close and personal with this 18-inch mega figure of King Kong from Kong Skull Island. Yes, there's really not much about this figure, but it doesn't mean that it's is a figure that should be overlooked. You know what I mean? It really is a nice piece of Kong. You know, the paint scheme is really nice, and it's made of hard plastic, but the way they constructed this thing looks really good. Like I mentioned, this is not X Plus quality or model kit quality, but it wasn't meant to be. But considering what they did and how they produced this figure, and considering how cheap it is, you know, you get what you pay for. But I think you make a good, you would be good on your investment by investing in this piece. You know, whatever. Like I said, it's $25 at the most, $30. Don't even pay attention to those eBay rapists out there. You know, and if you go to a Walmart and they're sold out, I'm sure they'll probably get more back in, because like I said, I went to 5 of them, and if Walmart was paying attention to how well they sold, trust me, they'll restock these as soon as they can. But this really is a good piece, and it's posable. And by being posable, you know, you can basically just move his arms like this, move his arms like that. You can have them just like this or that. It's just like, oops, sorry, like this, like that. You know. I'm probably gonna have mine like this, you know, just the way I had it before, and it'll stay up, you know. Yes, the paint scheme is nice on this figure. Also, there's like little scratches here on his chest and like right here on his abdomen. I would assume there's probably something that another monster did. Once again, it kind of adds a little bit more realism to this figure, and it really is nice. And that's one thing I kind of don't like about the 2005 Kong from Peter Jackson's King Kong, was the fact that he had like facial scarring along his head and his jaw was all out of place. That didn't sit right with me, you know what I mean? I mean, but at least they kept the physical damage that this Kong suffers on this figure at a minimum, so it doesn't really affect the overall presentation. That's one thing that I can't shake. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Peter Jackson's King Kong, even though it's like 14 hours long. But I do enjoy that movie. But about Kong himself, you know, just the fact that his jaw was all messed up, and the way, and the more he roared, I was praying and hoping that it wouldn't just fall off his daggone face. But whatever. But they did a great job, and this face looks really good. Before I get to the face, he has articulation in his head here, where you can like twist it just a little bit, but don't like try to force it, because you may break it. Look to the left, look to the right, maybe I think look up a little bit or down, whatever. So yes, but they did a great job with the face. The face, the paint scheme on the eyes is good. His teeth or fangs, or just his teeth and tongue, and just the paint scheme they put onto his mouth is really good. And obviously, I think this is more of a throwback to the 1933 Kong, you know, whatever. It's just updated for modern times. So I think they did a good job with the design in the film, and I think they did a good job recreating this design here in this figure. Now, what we've seen thus far, like in trailers and TV spots or whatever, now the Kong on TV that we've seen thus far, maybe the paint scheme is kind of darker because he looks more black, so they may have not been truly accurate with the paint scheme, but I think for this figure, I think it actually works. And let's look towards the back. Yes, he has musculature in his back, and I ain't touching that. I ain't going there. And he's got musculature in his chest, obviously, and his arms. His arms are just so big and just bulky or whatever, like Popeye, or he's more like a Brock Lesnar version of King Kong. And if that doesn't scare you, then get informed. But this is an imposing figure. Really, it's imposing. Also, there's articulation in his feet. You may have to like twist it around, because the more you like position his arms like this, where it's more upright, and because his arm is so bulky, if you put him up high like this, he becomes top heavy. So you may have to like position his feet or reconfigure his feet to have a firm standing on the ground, so he won't be like coming and falling down like this, you know, whatever. Because this is made of hard plastic, and if, you know, too many times he falls, you may run a risk of cracking it or breaking it. So be very mindful of that on how you position this figure. With his arms up like this, like I said, be more mindful of his feet, because these two have to flow together in order the figure to be positioned really well. But this is a great piece. This really is a great piece. You know, I mean, I wish I had a more elaborate detail, elaborate story, but you basically get what you get, and what you get is really good, considering what you put into it. $25? Come on now. You can't beat that. You can't beat that for a figure of this size, let alone of this quality. Like I said, it's not the best in the world, but it's good for what it does, and the fact that it's really affordable. Because in honesty, in my opinion, this should be more like a $40, figure, $50 figure, even though I wouldn't pay that much because, like I said, they're on eBay now going for horrendous prices. But yes, like I said, if you want one, please get one. I highly recommend you get one. You will not be disappointed. Like I said, check your Walmart or whatever, or check as many Walmarts as you can. I don't suggest you go online to get it because Walmart, sometimes their website is up to date, sometimes they're not. So if you have Walmart near you, just hop in the car and go down the street and see if they got one. Sometimes multiple cities have like maybe 2 or 3 Walmarts. You never know until you go. So go there if you really want this figure and spend $25 and boom, you have yourself a good quality King Kong figure. And this is the first Mega King Kong figure of the upcoming Kong that I've seen thus far online. I assume that if the film does do well, which I'm sure it will, and I hope it will, we might see more King Kong Skull Island figures, down the line from other toy companies like X Plus, like SH Monster Arts, or whatever. But starting out, this is a good piece. It really is a good piece. The sculpt looks really, really good. The way they sculpt his face, on how mean his face is, the way they simulate his hair all over his body, the musculature, he's like a jacked up monster. And mind you, he's gonna need that. He's gonna need to be that way when he eventually challenges Godzilla. And trust me, that's where we're going to. And as a matter of fact, I think it says it here on the packaging. Yeah, it says it here on the packaging, Monarch. Monarch, a classified asset. So clearly they're building to King Kong versus Godzilla in the future, or Godzilla versus Kong, whatever you want to call it. But I highly recommend this figure, and this really, really is nice. So that's pretty much it with the detail on this thing. There's not much there, but it's enough to be a good investment if you do choose to invest in this figure. So let's do 2 size comparisons, and I'll wrap this review up. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, I'm back. I'm not going to be in the shot. I just rather narrate it, because obviously these two are what should get your undivided attention. And yes, this is the 18-inch NECA Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim. Kind of appropriate since they're both are legendary properties. The legendary King Kong on the right and Gypsy Danger from Legendary's Pacific Rim. And as you can see, they are in perfect scale together. Now, mind you, I don't know if that would be like perfect in scale for the film, but they're virtually the same size. I think Kong has maybe just a little smidgen of a height advantage because his head is kind of like crested on the top. But this really is a good piece. So if you have the NECA 18-inch Pacific Rim Jaegers, whether it's Gypsy Danger or Striker Eureka or Cherno Alpha, they look really well with this King Kong. And that's the thing about this King Kong. If you look at it up close and personal, he does come off as like a plastic toy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it by saying anything different than that. But the detail is really, 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 really good. Even though it's a plastic toy per se, they did a good job with the paint scheme, with the sculpt, and with the realism of the scratches on his chest. They didn't go overboard with it. So I think it looks really, really, really good. And also, this will also bring a debate because I've heard this said millions of times. And I think it's subjective that some people don't think that King Kong is actually a kaiju. And my feeling on that is that the definition of the word kaiju is strange or gigantic beast. Then I've heard that the definition of kaiju, or I guess strange gigantic beast that originated from Japan, I kind of think that the first one is more accurate because if you think about it in Pacific Rim, all the creatures in there are kaijus. But yet they were like in China, they weren't really in Japan. You know what I mean? So if those are considered kaijus, why can't King Kong be considered a kaiju? Because last time I checked, there are not many 200, 300 foot tall apes running around this planet. If they are, please let me know so I can go in the opposite direction, please. And plus, also with the Toho Kong, that fought Godzilla, and the one from King Kong Escapes, the fact that he was able to draw electricity in King Kong vs. Godzilla, and the fact that he was very highly intelligent in King Kong Escapes, and and that's considered a kaiju film. So why not Kong? So I don't understand why Kong is not considered a kaiju. Maybe the American version, the first American version of the 1933 film. A lot of folks won't consider that a kaiju film, but I do. Like I said, it's subjective. That's just my opinion. But like I said, kaijus are gigantic, strange, not normal beasts. And let's see, King Kong, he's gigantic, He can pick up boulders that weigh tons. He's incredibly strong, and he's just an enormous creature. And like I said, not too many apes around on this planet can say that. So in my opinion, King Kong is a kaiju. But like I said, that's subjective. Maybe you can put down in the comment section what you think or whatever. But either way, in my opinion, especially with this new Kong Skull Island film, which will lead to a showdown with Godzilla, King Kong is definitely a kaiju in my book. So that's pretty much it with the first size comparison. So let's go with the last size comparison. And I think you know who I'm going to pair him with. All right, let's go. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison. And you already know who this is. You know who it is. Of course, the king of the monsters, Godzilla himself. And that's actually an X Plus Gigantic Series Burning Godzilla figure that I have in my collection. But I repainted it the regular Heisei colors. The way to make him look like how he looked at the end of Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Yeah, I got 2 gigantic Burning Godzillas. Actually 3, because my wife got one. That's beside the point. So I wanted to put these 2 together because I would have put my gigantic Godzilla 1962 S Plus figure, but since this is a more recent version of King Kong, I wanted to put him with a more recent version of Godzilla, and I could have probably gave him, at least put beside him the gigantic GMK or the gigantic G2000 from X Plus, but those figures are kind of hunched over, where Kong would have a size advantage. And to me personally, I think between the 2, Godzilla should be like taller, not necessarily like big and bulky where he overshadows Kong. But to me, I think that Godzilla should be the bigger of the 2 or the taller of the 2. So that's why I wanted to put this gigantic repainted Burning Godzilla with him. Now Kong, like I said, is 18 inches tall. This Godzilla is 19 inches tall, and I think it works. At least it works for my collection. You know, that's my opinion. I'm sure there might be those that may differ from that opinion. But that's pretty much it with the size comparison. I think this looks really, really good together. Like I said, on the surface, this Kong doesn't look like a plastic toy that you would see in Walmart. He actually has some great features, and he has a presence to him. And when you put these 2 together, it just gets me excited of the eventual showdown that Godzilla and King Kong will have really, really, really soon. So yes, that's pretty much it with the size comparison. And once again, I love having these 2 together because in the Heisei film series, actually after Godzilla was Biollante, they actually considered bringing back King Kong for another King Kong vs. Godzilla film. But of course, Kong was unavailable, or I guess the licensing was too much for Toho wanting to put in, because you know they had to pay for the rights to use King Kong. But I think the King Kong rights or the fee to use King Kong was too much for Toho's perspective, so they put in King Ghidorah, and that's why we have Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. But it would have been fun to see Godzilla vs. King Kong in the Heisei films. You know, at least an updated version of King Kong versus an updated version of Godzilla. But no, you know what? It doesn't matter because we're still going to get one at some point in a few years. But until then, I have these 2 to look at, and just gets me more excited about the upcoming film. All right. Well, let's wrap this review up. And thank you so much for watching and hanging in there with me. All right, let's go. Okay, fellas, you mind if I get in here just a little bit? Do you mind? You sure? We're not gonna have any problems, are we? I mean, have you forgot about how he tried to stick that tree in your face a few years ago? Have you forgot about how he tried to set you on fire? So we're gonna be civil here. We're gonna be civil. Okay. Because if I have to put you in opposite sides of the man cave, I will do that. But I'm willing to take a chance on y'all. Besides, your showdown's in a few years. But yes. And you know what? I'm going to finish off this review with my thoughts of Kong Skull Island. As a matter of fact, I've been kind of silent on that because, you know, we have gotten trailers and TV spots and just all this information about the film, or at least what we know so far, for months. And we have not, or at least I have not said that much about it. And this is a perfect opportunity to me to explain myself about that. I'm really looking forward to this film. I really am. Not even about the Godzilla element, because that's another direction in itself, which I am excited for. But I am excited for the fact that we finally get a new King Kong film. Because, you know, even though I talk about Godzilla a lot, and that's really like 95% of the content on my channel, or really 100%, really, it is nice to talk about King Kong because I'm a King Kong fan. You know what I mean? I'm really a King Kong fan. And without King Kong, you know, we probably wouldn't have gotten a Godzilla. You know, I mean, eventually we probably would have got something, but King Kong was partial inspiration for Godzilla's creation. And I'm a huge King Kong fan. Not every film has been a knockout, breakout hit, but I do enjoy the character, and I do enjoy what he has brought to the table as far as like cinematic pleasure. Of course, you know, my favorite King Kong film of all time is King Kong Escapes. Whatever. As a matter of fact, if I had to rank the King Kong films on how I favor them, from my favorite to my least favorite, and I'm talking about straight King Kong films with the King Kong character, not like variations of it like Mighty Joe Young or Konga or Queen Kong. I'm sorry, that's just funny. But if I had to rank them from my favorite to my least favorite, let's see. Of course, King Kong Escapes would be number one. Let's see. King Kong 1976. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. I'm not gonna apologize for that because I grew up with that film, you know, back in the day, and that film is such huge nostalgia for me. I really do love that film. So yes, King Kong Escapes number one, King Kong 1976 number two, King Kong vs. Godzilla number three, King Kong 1933, really, really good. King Kong, the 2005 one. And the last one, King Kong Lives. Yeah, the last one, King Kong Lives. I think that's it as far as like Kong films. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, as far as like major motion pictures involving the King Kong character. So yeah, King Kong Escapes, King Kong 1976, King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1933 King Kong, 2005 King Kong, and King Kong Lives. I'm not going to count Son of Kong, you know, whatever. I mean, even though King Kong is the basis of that film, he's not technically in the film, so that's why I don't count Son of Kong. But that's how I favor it from my favorite to my least favorite. But I'm looking forward to Kong Skull Island. You know, I just hope that they do something different with this film and don't try to do the whole Beauty and the Beast storyline, because we've seen that before in these King Kong films. You know, got King Kong falls in love with the girl, which ultimately brings about his downfall. And that's one thing I love about King Kong Escape so much, is the fact that that is not the focal point of the film. You know, his love for the girl is not the focal point. And then when I see these images of the new upcoming Skull Island film with the helicopters in the background and Kong is in the distance, this reminds me of that scene in King Kong Escapes when the helicopter SWAT team comes to his island and tries to capture him. And I hope they expand upon that story. We come to his island, we piss him off, so therefore he's gonna go crazy, and he has no girl or nobody that he falls in love with, which gives him a weakness. And it's just fun seeing those TV spots that gets me ultra hyped about the film. Like Kong just jumping up out of the air and taking his ball fist and punching helicopters out of the sky. That is really, 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 really good. I'm so looking forward to seeing this Kong being so violent and being so just mad and pissed off that you come to his island dropping bombs and you expect him to be okay with that. And plus, I think this film is going to be a vehicle for two reasons. One, to establish King Kong to both his fans, both old and new, and to bring in new eyeballs to the King Kong character that probably don't know much about him. And of course, this is all set up for the eventual showdown of Godzilla versus King Kong. Because say what you will about Godzilla 2014, of Godzilla not being in the film that much, that the human cast is kind of blase. There's one thing I would give Kong Skull Island. On paper, the cast is really, really awesome and it's really intriguing. You got Samuel L. Jackson, great actor. You got the guy Tom Hiddleston, who played Loki in the Avenger movies and Thor movies. Great actor. You got the guy who played Dr. Dre, Corey Hawkins in Straight Outta Compton. Great actor. The guy who played Eazy-E in Straight Outta Compton. Great actor. I don't know his name, so forgive me. And of course, John Goodman. He needs no introduction. Just the cast on paper for Kong Skull Island looks really, really, really good. And that's the one thing I would say about Godzilla 2014. Even though I like the film, I enjoy it for what it is, I think the cast was kind of weak. The only characters that were really of substance that really did anything, or at least characters that I really was interested in, was Dr. Serizawa and Bryan Cranston. And even though Bryan Cranston died early on in the film, and after that, just the cast, just the interest in the cast just kind of fell downhill, at least for me. At least Dr. Serizawa kind of carried it, but at least Bryan Cranston, he was really the true actor of that film. So on paper, Kong Skull Island has a better cast in my opinion. But I think that they have their work cut out for them, you know, in building King Kong, because at the end of Godzilla 2014, Godzilla really beat down those Mutos. It was really a great fight, a really vicious fight, and Godzilla was doing some really vicious things to take down both Mutos. So for Kong, he's going to have to be built up as an incredible threat to combat Godzilla, and I think that they can do that. I think that they will do that. I'm really pumped up for this film, and I'm just so excited about it, because now we're living at a time where, because you know, back then when they made King Kong versus Godzilla, at least at that point, was nowhere near the iconic phenomenon that he is today. Kong kind of was, but Godzilla was not on that level. Nowadays, both monsters are on the same level, worldwide, gigantic monster icons. That if you were to ask anybody on the street, name a giant monster, and I bet you 1 out of 10 people, or all of them, would say either King Kong and Godzilla. So now we're living at a time where both of these iconic monsters are now heading towards a collision course. I think it's great. I think it's a good time. It's a fun time, and trust me, I'm so hoping that Kong Skull Island does well. I'm really excited about it, as you already know, and I think this will be a great time for Godzilla fans, King Kong fans, just kaiju fans in general. It really is a fun time. But until then, I hope Kong Skull Island does really well. And that's pretty much it with my thoughts of the Kong Skull Island movie. And I'm sure I'll talk more about it if more products come out for the movie, which I hope, and I'm sure they will. But until then, that's it with my thoughts of Kong Skull Island. I have high hopes for it. I love it. I can't wait to go see it. And it's just an awesome time. And that pretty much concludes my review of the 18-inch mega figure of King Kong 2017 from Kong Skull Island from Lanard Toys, exclusively sold at Walmart. If you have any questions, holler me down in the comment section, or hit me up on Facebook via my catalog. We'll definitely go from there. Like I said, this is something different, you know, something really different. It's not Godzilla related, but kind of, and it's not X Plus model kit related, but whatever. But it adds a little more diversity and variety to the channel, you know, and if it brings more eyeballs to my channel, that's fine. Or if it pleases my subscribers, that's fine. I'm just loving this. I really do loving this figure. And like I said, if you can find one for the good price at Walmart, not at eBay, not on eBay, excuse me, but at Walmart for $25, $30, please invest in this figure and not be disappointed. All right, so that's pretty much it with my review. I thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see y'all again on the next figure and move review. All right, y'all. Normally I end the review by saying y'all take it easy, but in honor of these two titans here, I'm gonna end the review with just one statement. I think Dr. Serizawa from Godzilla 2014 said it best. Let them fight.